Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Happy Makar Sankranti and the Ganga Sagar Mela to everyone. We are going to begin chapter 17 of Bhagavad Gita as it is discussion. Bhagavad Gita as it is written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are going to discuss chapter 17 today. It's the divisions of faith. And we are going to cover the first 4 verses of this chapter. Let's begin. Verse 1. I don't know if I have said the invocation to invite the Lord, but I will say it again anyway. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So let's begin. Verse 1. Arjunuvacha ye shastra vidhui mutsrijya yajante shraddhayanvitah tesham nishtha tu ka Krishna satvamaho rajastamaha. Translation. Arjun inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scripture but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Verse 2. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrinu. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of 3 kinds, in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now hear about this. Verse 3. Sattva nurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata shraddha mayo yam purusho yo yachriddha sa eva saha. O son of Bharata, according to one's existence, under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. Now finally, the verse 4 for today, which we'll be discussing. Yajante satvika devan yaksharakshansi rajasah pretan bhuta ganamshchanye yajante tamasa janah. Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. So, let's begin by discussing the first verse of chapter 17, the divisions of faith. So, in the first 4 verses, Bhagwan will be discussing that how we can recognize the faith or the level of the faith in a person through the modes of nature. Just to give a quick recall, modes of nature, as you all know, they are goodness, passion, and ignorance. And this is what binds us to this world, and they are attacking us all the time during 24 hours of any day in our existence in this life. So in first verse, Bhagwan is listening to Arjun. Arjun is inquiring from Krishna that what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scripture but worship according to their imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Just to give a quick recall, when we finished chapter 16 yesterday, we know that Bhagwan was telling Arjun about what is the kind of the people, how they are like, who worship and who discard the injunctions from the spiritual side completely, and their worship is just the material life and just acquiring everything else. This was verse 23, and they just act whimsically and they're not bothered about inquiring about Bhagwan or reaching the spiritual supreme destination. And in verse 24, Bhagwan was telling Arjun that one should understand that what is the duty of a person pursuing the supreme spiritual destination, how they have to follow the rules and regulation, and what is their duty, and what is their sorry, I can't use the word unduty, so the word should be what they should not be doing. Yes. So they have to follow the rules and regulations, just like in any discipline of life, you have to follow the certain code of conduct, discipline to pursue that journey in your life. So similarly, in spiritual life as well, you have to follow certain codes of conduct given in the scriptures by the Lord himself. In this case here, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And this is completely laid out for us. Now it's up to us what we want to take from it. So the first verse, Bhagwan is going to be listening to Arjun, who is inquiring Bhagwan that what principle one should follow. And no, sorry, it is about the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scriptures, but they worship according to their own whimsical desires. In 4th chapter, 39th verse, Prabhupada is reminding us in his purport that a person faithful to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfectional stage of peace and prosperity. And in the 16th chapter, it was concluded that one who does not follow the principles laid down in the scriptures is called Asur, or a demon, like we say in English. And one who follows the scriptural injunction is called a Deva, or a demigod. So we have to listen to the rules and regulations and follow them properly. So with faith, when you have some kind of faith, there will be some rules, and some rules have to be followed. But in the case of the ones who are just doing whimsically, they are not going to follow any rules and regulations. So now Prabhupada is telling us that with the faith follow some rules and which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunction, what is his position? Now there will be some rules which are not going to be mentioned. So Arjun is asking this question of his to Krishna. Now Krishna is going to clear this doubt of Arjun. So Arjun is also inquisitive that those who create some sort of god by selecting a human being, Prabhupada is explaining this in his purport, and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness, passion, or ignorance. We see this a lot in our life around us in this Kali Yuga. There are so many gurus, and so many of them, they just claim to be gods themselves. So what is the faith of such persons who are following such gods? Because we know that these gurus have got such big followings as well. So are these people who are going to follow such, man gurus, not the real Supreme Lord, but the man gurus who are just like you and me in the human form? So what is their faith, and what kind of trust they are putting in such gurus? Are they worshipping such gurus in goodness, passion, or ignorance? And are those people who are worshipping such gurus are going to attain the perfection of life? So these are all the queries of Arjun. And in next verse 2, Krishna is going to answer. The Lord said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: goodness, passion, or in ignorance. So the faith is in three types, and our faith is determined by our nature. So what is our nature? Whatever is our nature is going to be the dominant mode we will be acting throughout in. The three modes, as we know, in any given 24 hours come in certain times of the day. The early morning is mode of goodness, and then the larger part of the day is mode of passion, and in the evenings, late evenings onwards, it's mode of ignorance. But we are born with certain DNA, we can say, certain DNA of the modes in ourselves. This is according to our past karma. We have been given particular type of bodies and particular type of certain type of natures as well. So we are going to be dominated by a particular mode in our life. This is how we see so much variety of humans around us. This is how, according to our karma, we have been given certain bodies, and according to our bodies, we have certain modes dominating us in our lives. Those who know the rules and regulations of the scriptures given in scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam itself, which is spoken by the Lord himself, they will follow the rules and regulations. And even if their predominant mode may be, for example, laziness or passion, they will try to give up that, because they will try their best to follow the rules and regulations. And this is going to help them elevate themselves from that certain mode which they are born with, which is the predominating mode in their DNA, so as to say. And they will be slowly able to transcend into the next higher mode. And once they will be in mode of goodness, they will be acquiring the pure goodness by the subsequent practicing of the sadhana bhakti every day. Sadhana bhakti, as you know, is chanting the names of the Lord and eating the prasadam, doing devotional service to Lord, and at least for 15 minutes a day, reading the scriptures, listening to the highly realized devotees and their understanding of their understanding of life in general regarding the scriptures. So this is going to be of immense help. So Bhagavan says that by following the rules and regulations, one can transcend these modes as well. And these different mentalities will be also shown in each one of the persons on this earth according to the mode of nature they are in. But one thing is certain, the mode of nature are going to affect each and every one, no matter one is in a neophyte stage of bhakti or one is in the highest stage of the bhakti or in the middle stage of bhakti. But this can be changed. Prabhupada is assuring us that this can be changed, and Krishna is also telling us to Arjun that this can be changed. When this is going to change, when one gets a bona fide spiritual master, and when one surrenders to a bona fide spiritual masters, take the initiation from them, takes the diksha from them, what is going to happen? The spiritual master is going to guide through the scriptures, because the spiritual master is attached to the Lord himself through the disciplic succession, because spiritual master's guru also has had a initiation or the diksha from a guru, and so on. If you keep connecting all the gurus, you will see that at the top they are all connected to Krishna. So this is going to change the life of a person. So gradually one can change their position from the lower mode, the mode of ignorance, to the mode of goodness, and by practicing the sadhana bhakti, it will go to the mode of, not the mode, the goodness will become pure goodness, and pure goodness is needed when the bhakti begins. So everyone has to begin somewhere. So having blind faith in any particular mode of nature is not going to help a person to get elevated. This is what Prabhupada is telling us in the purport, to reach the perfect stage of the life. So one has to use their intelligence very carefully, and one has to have the association of the bona fide spiritual master. Only this will begin. Only this, the journey of bhakti will commence. And one will be able to transcend from the lower mode of nature to the higher mode of nature. Now let's move to verse 3. Verse 3, Bhagwan is saying to Arjun that the soul, which is the part and parcel of Lord, the original faith of the soul is in Krishna, because it is part and parcel of Krishna. We belong to Krishna. Krishna is in our heart in the localized aspect as Paramatma. He is there with our souls all the time. We are his creation, but we are in different species, in different forms according to our past desires, past karmas, in our past lives. He's sitting there in our hearts, watching he's a witness of our souls, and he has given the free will to our souls to act according to our desires. So we might be in complete ignorance until we didn't know about the scriptures, or we didn't hear about the scriptures from anyone, or we didn't have the association of the pure devotees who are already into this path, or the spiritual master. But once we know this, our life changes or starts to change slowly. And it's all dependent on the level of faiths we have in our heart or in ourselves. So Bhagwan is saying to Arjun, O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. So what Bhagwan was telling Arjun in verse 2 continues in verse 3. Now, according to the mode of nature, one is attached to a particular type of thinking. So when one leaves the body, if, for example, if somebody is attached to a particular thing, for example, a pet or a certain relationship, one is going to think about that relationship or that particular pet, etc., at the time of death. But if one has been practicing the names of Lord, chanting the names of Lord, serving the Lord, reading about the Lord, and they have devoted their life completely for the service of Lord, obviously that person is going to remember Lord at the last moment of their life as well. And Lord is going to help them as well, because Lord says that I love each and every being of my creation, but my devotee is particularly dear to me. Bhagwan is a little bit more partial to his devotee. Now, the spiritual life, we cannot start the spiritual life in the animal stage, because we haven't got that concentration or that intelligence to understand or to make sense of the words of the scriptures. It cannot be started in the animal life, but it can be continued in animal life, they say. How it can be continued? If an animal is lucky enough to be, living around some devotees, he might get some prasad, or if, for example, the cows looked after by the devotees in Goshala, they will be able to they'll be able to have fodder as, some carrots or some grass, which is given to them by the devotees, or some Mahaprasad given to them. So this way, they can continue their bhakti or the spiritual life in the animal life as well, but they can't start it Because animals in general, they are in the mode of ignorance. Now the faith, as we know, has been told in the earlier verse, is in the three categories: goodness, passion, or ignorance. And this is according to the faith nature one has acquired at the time of birth. And this can be changed. The nature can be changed. There's a very famous saying which we all hear, that a man is known by the company he keeps. So the company or the association can also change us. It has got a lot of power to change us. So this way, with good association, we can transcend into the higher modes of the nature, but with the bad association from a higher mode, it's very easy to degrade to the lower modes as well. So the world has been designed, this beautiful prison house or the material world has been designed perfectly by the Lord. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very nice if we are in the mode of goodness, if we are in the mode of pure goodness, performing the bhakti. But if we aren't in that mode, then it's full of misery. Because if you are serving supreme power, no matter wherever you are going to be blessed, because you know you are in the company of the Lord. But if you are not serving the Lord, you are going to feel the pains and the modes and their harshness more in that state. Faith is also known as Shraddha. Shraddha in Sanskrit. And the word Shraddha, Prabhupada says in the purport is very significant here in this verse, because the Shraddha or the faith is going to come out in the mode of goodness only. So the faith could be for a demigod or some created god like we were talking about the man gods, or a god created by one's own mental concoction. So some kind of faith is always going to be there, because the nature of our soul is to serve. So it is going to have some kind of faith, but the strongest faith will be in the pure goodness for Lord. That is the best of the faiths. Now, in material condition life, no work is completely purified. Prabhupada is telling us in the purport, all the works are mixed. They're not in pure goodness at all. Pure goodness is transcendental, it is purified, and one can understand the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as long as the faith is not in the purified goodness, the faith is subject to contamination by any of the modes of material nature. So if our faith is not completely pure, what is going to happen to us is that our faith is going to be attacked by the different modes of material nature. Either it will be, our faith is going to be attacked by the ignorance or the passion or the goodness. And the contamination is going to go into our heart. This is what happens to us, isn't it? When we are happy, we say, I'm feeling so happy, and our heart gladdens. And when we are sad, we can feel it without even saying few words or any words. We can just feel that the sadness is creeping into our hearts, into the core of our being. So similarly, if you have the faith for the Lord, what is going to happen is that faith is also going to be with you through your being. So according to the position of the heart, Prabhupada is telling us in the purport, with a particular mode of nature, one's faith is established. So if our heart is in connection with the mode of ignorance, that's it. We'll have faith in some ignorant kind of God, that is, the demonic division. And if our heart is connected to a passion, then we'll be following some kind of passion God. And if we are in goodness and then slowly going towards pure goodness. Then if we are goodness, we will be following the Devi Devtas, demigods. And if we have started to have the pure goodness in our heart, we have surrendered to the Lord, we have got the bona fide spiritual master, the Shiksha Guru, or many Shiksha Gurus as pure devotees, then our pure bhakti is going to begin. So the relationship starts with the heart, and then the faith has got the relationship with the heart. Whatever the heart feels, that kind of faith is going to blossom. So if one is having goodness ignorance mode, for example, they'll be following Lord Shiva. And if one is in goodness passion mix, then one will be following Lord Brahma. And goodness is Vishnu. So these three lords, they are like that. Lord Vishnu is in the form of goodness always, and Lord Brahma is in the form of passion, goodness passion, and prescribed roles. Brahma time comes. In the spiritual level consciousness, for example, a cow is in goodness, but in the material level body, the body of cow is of an animal's body, isn't it? But spiritual level, if we think about it, it's in the form of mode of goodness, because cow doesn't eat any kind of meat, or most of the animals. We see the ones who are giving milk to us, they don't eat meat. They are in the mode of goodness. They're only surviving on the vegetative side, and by actually they are helping us, giving us the milk, and we make the byproducts from the milk as well, ghee and butter, etc., and paneer, and they help us to thrive in this world, in our bhakti, because these are the products we can offer to Lord as well. Different religions have got different types, are due to different types of faith. Prabhupada reminds us, which we see all around us. And the principle of religious faith is situated in the mode of pure goodness, as we've been saying and been reading in Prabhupada's purports. But because the heart is tainted, we find different types of religious principles. Thus, according to different types of faith, there are different kinds of worships. The animals in general, they are in the mode of ignorance, but there is level of ignorance as well. For example, cow is in the mode of goodness, the monkey is in the mode of passion, and jackal, the jackal is in the mode of total ignorance. Now let's move on to verse 4. In verse 4, Bhagavan is telling Arjun that men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. So different kind of worshippers have been described in this verse according to the kind of activities they do, according to the kind of worships they do. But according to the scriptures, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is worshipable. But the ones who haven't got any faith in these scriptures, they are going to do the worship of different objects according to their faith, according to the situation of their minds, and how they are actually struggling with the different modes of nature themselves. So the ones in goodness are generally going to be worshipping the demigods, and they include Brahma, Shiva, and Indra, Chandra, and sun god. There are so many demigods. We know in Indian subcontinent, we know like there are 33 crore Yeah, crore has got 9 zeros, isn't it? Yes. No, 7. Let me recall. Yes, a crore has got 7 zeros. So they've got 33,000 crore Devi Devatas, or the demigods. So they can be worshipping any one of those. And the one in the mode of passion, they are going to be worshipping the demons. And Prabhupada says that purport that during the World War, many were worshipping, even Hitler as well. He has given an example of a certain man in Calcutta who was worshipping Hitler. So these are the kind of and many are worshipping the celebrities, the celebrities and the film stars or the singers, because the soul wants to worship someone. The propensity of worshipping, the propensity of putting your faith into somebody is there in your heart. Now that dust has to be removed, and when that dust will start getting removed slowly, once a person has come into the bhakti yoga, only then slowly after the cleansing of the dirt, one is going to be able to start their worship. So that's why the Sankirtan movement given by Lord Chaitanya is so important. Lord Chaitanya has given simple tools which can be used by anyone if they are into bhakti. They can give the prasad, they can give the offered remnants, offered bhoga as prasad to anyone, whether it's humans or animals, and they can sow the seed of bhakti this way. And of course, by doing Harinam, by doing the Sankirtan, and of course for our own sadhana we have to do chanting and serve the Lord. I know in these times and in lockdown times it's difficult, but in these times one can go deeper into our own selves and find out that which level our sadhana is and how to improve our own sadhana bhakti. And by making us in the lockdown situation, what Lord has arranged, what I feel personally is that we can save ourselves from distractions of this world at this moment, because at this moment here in UK we are not even allowed to go to anyone's house. There are so many restrictions, and you can't even go to temples, you can't have congregations, anything. All you can have is Zoom sessions, listen to Facebook on social media, and also, so this is best time actually to try to share what you have learned, and learn more what you want to learn, by which your faith is going to become more strong in the coming years. So Bhagwan says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sathaiv bhajamyaham. So according to the degree of our faith, according to the strength of our worship, Bhagwan is going to bless us with the right tools to worship him, the right company which is going to elevate us. And if we haven't got the right faith, then Bhagwan is going to give us whatever we desire. If we desire the lower company, Bhagwan is going to be blessing us with the lower company. There's no dearth or in this world of goodness and of bad as well in this world. So whatever we desire, we can have it, we can acquire. This is what is the beauty of this world. So the ones who are in mode of passion, they will create the gods of passions, and they will worship such gods who are in the mode of passion. And the ones who are in ignorance, they'll be worshipping the spirits, the dead spirits and the ghosts, and you know, we don't have to elaborate so much on that. We understand. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 3rd chapter, verse 23, it is said, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudev Shabditam. When a man is situated in pure goodness, he worships Vasudev. Vasudev is Lord Krishna. The purport is that those who are completely purified of the material modes of nature and who are transcendentally situated can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, the ones who are not attached to the Lord, they don't understand Lord as a person. They actually think of Lord as only without a form. They think that God is impersonal. They are supposed to be in the mode of goodness. Now, they worship 5 kinds of demigods. They worship the impersonal Vishnu form in the material world, which is known as the philosophized Vishnu. Now, Vishnu is the expansion of Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because these impersonalists, they don't believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they imagine that the Vishnu is just another form or another aspect of the impersonal Brahman. They only think up to the Brahma Jyoti or the effulgence of the Lord. And similarly, they imagine that Lord Brahma is the impersonal form of the material mode of passion. Thus, they sometimes describe 5 kinds of gods that are worshipable, but because they think that the actual truth is impersonal Brahman, they don't consider Bhagwan to be a person. They dispose all kinds of worship to the Brahman form only. That is their ultimate worship. So in conclusion, Prabhupada is concluding here in the purport that the different qualities of the material modes of nature can be purified through the association with persons who are of transcendental nature. So the association with the pure devotees of Lord and having a bona fide spiritual master, a Diksha Guru, and having Shiksha Gurus. Prabhupada is the ultimate Shiksha Guru for all of us, and we have the Gurus who had Diksha from Prabhupada. We can have them also as our Shiksha Gurus, and then we can have Diksha from these Gurus. We can choose which Guru we want to have, but it is said that the Guru chooses you, the Guru will find you, and it does happen. Guru finds you how? That you will be able to you will have certain kind of liking to the shikshas of that Guru. And once your curiosity will be satisfied, you can have the Diksha from that Guru. So this is the only way to make most of our stay in this world, by having a bona fide spiritual master, and then from understanding the intricacies of the scriptures from our spiritual masters, by serving our spiritual master, by listening to him or her. Well, in this case, it is him only, because at the moment we only have the male gurus only in ISKCON. But there are many ladies as well who are giving lots of lectures or classes which we can hear. They are also pure devotees, and we can make most of our lives and improve our situation in this life. So I will conclude today's session and wish you all a very happy Makar Sankranti and the Ganga Sagar Mela, when Mother Ganges, she united with the ocean. It was today. So thank you for joining. Hariam Tatsat. Hare Krishna.